just said BYU has a ton of money, but the headlines have been tough on BYU fans and frankly everybody lately with everything that happened with Jake Retzloff. It has put BYU's season on the brink, much less potentially really heinous things that could have happened to the victim there. It's not a fun time. That's not a fun thing to endure as a fan base. If you want something to make you feel a little bit better, though, I do have a W to hand to the Cougars officially today here on the show. Big time W. And not just for BYU. This actually bleeds out into most everybody in the conference outside of one fan base, that one being Utah, who fought this one tooth and nail when it was actually happening during the fall. So I don't think I need to tell you guys, most people understand here, how good the Holy War has been for this conference. We lost Bedlam, which was a great bitter rivalry. I guess Colorado's back in the league. We don't have Colorado, Nebraska anymore. Nebraska and Oklahoma are both gone. Like these Big 8, Big 12 rivalries needed one that was just really bitter and fierce. And the Holy War has completely delivered on that. There's so much baked into it when you talk about the cultural differences, for some, the religious differences there. I mean, that brings a totally different tone to a rivalry. Say what you will about it, whether good or bad, or if it should or shouldn't. I do think it is the reality, right? Then even beyond that, I mean, you've got the proximity. They're so damn close to each other. You've got the Big 12, Pac-12 thing layered onto it. The whole online fight that took place over the course of like a year and a half. I mean, that was a massive, massive thing. That added different layers and different context to this. And then finally, Utah gets forced to join the same conference that BYU is in when they feel like they are above that. Like there are so many feelings across all of this, which makes it wildly entertaining to watch. I mean, it has been fascinating to watch unfold on Twitter, if I'm being honest, as a third-party observer. And then we get to the actual fall last year, and I'm like, all right, great. Let's see how this goes on the field, man. And we get a classic game, maybe not the prettiest game in the world, but a classic game, classic finish. And did we get a press conference? We got a press conference. After the controversy, the controversial holding call on 4th down on BYU's eventual game-winning drive when it looked like Utah had that thing stopped, Mark Harlan decided to just go off after, yelling at officials plenty on the field in the immediate aftermath of the game. What was that? Is that official's name? Like Kevin Marr or something? The guy who was getting an earful after the game. Mark Harlan really, really popped off. Said the game was, quote, absolutely stolen from Utah. That was a part of the impromptu press conference afterwards. The game was absolutely stolen. He was disgusted by the professionalism of the Big 12 officiating crew, disgusted by the professionalism, and decided to call an impromptu press conference to say all of this. And it wasn't just going after the refs. He decided to play into, and this is where, Mark Harlan's smart enough to know what he was doing here. He knows how Utah fans have generally thought about the Big 12, at least the vocal online ones, and what the perception had been of Utah and how much they liked or did not like being in the Big 12 conference. And he had this to say as well. He said, we were excited about being in the Big 12, but tonight I am not. We won this game. And said he was going to talk to the commissioner because, quote, this was not fair to our team. Even going back and reading that now, I'm just like, damn, man, he really let it fly. He really, really let it fly. Well, if you're a Utah fan, and there were certainly many in this category, if you're a Utah fan, you're sitting there like, well, maybe he was right. Like, that was a BS call. The TV angles did not, well, is it really just fair to say angle? I mean, we didn't get much on the TV broadcast. When you first initially saw it, you can be like, man, yeah, that did seem like maybe it was a little bit weak of a call. But then we start to see other angles. All these other angles start to surface on Twitter, and it becomes pretty obvious. If you were the official right there seeing it like that, like, yeah, it was definitely a hold. I mean, it was definitely a hold. But, of course, after the game, Utah is going to send complaints about that, and I think it was 6 calls total. Let me go ahead and pull up this tweet that I'm about to show you. They have like 6 calls total that they send into the conference office for review after that. And one of them, of course, was the holding call that we spent so much time on that. People spent so much time crying and whining and moaning about what happened in that call. And very quietly now here in the summer, so June, far away from November, are we like 7 months later? Like 7 months later, we finally get resolution on this, if you want to call it that. But Jeff Fuller, shout out to Jeff. Great Twitter follow. Would definitely recommend that. I said a Lubbock reporter got the Big 12 officials' review of team disputed calls this past season. The headliner, the controversial holding call. In fact, Utah disputed 6 errant calls. Okay, I was right. 6 errant calls. Well, guess what? The reviewer from the conference, Big 12 reviewed it, and they said the holding call was the right call. So, not some in-the-moment mistake here. The Big 12 has said upon review, it was the correct call for holding. And out of the 6 calls that Utah did basically send in for review here, the only one that the conference agreed, like, oh, hey, wait, yeah, we were wrong, was that they got a player number incorrect when assessing the penalty. And Jeff points out, okay, some might think that's just ref homerism, but the same official agreed with 5 of the 13 challenge calls in the Tech Colorado game and 2 of the 10 challenges in the Cincinnati West Virginia game. So he gives a couple other examples where there were more that they actually agreed with here. So it's not just the refs protecting themselves. But you can see let's see. Here we go. Receiver stops and comes back for the pass. Defender has right arm around receiver's waist. Maybe I'm in which one am I reading here? Yeah, here we go. My fault. Last one. My bad, guys. That was a bad one. I should have just looked at the bottom. Here we go. 4th quarter. QB looks to number 5 immediately after the snap as receiver moves to go around a defender. The defender grabs the receiver and prevents him from running his route. Correct call. Pretty simple. Simple explanation from the Big 12 there. But that's what they have to say about the holding call heard around the country. Certainly the holding call heard around the Big 12 last year between Utah and BYU. So there you have it. That's a W. Okay. That is a W, my friends in Provo. I'm trying to help you out here. Frankly, it's just a W for like everybody involved. That turned into such a crazy thing. I wouldn't change it. I would not change that for the world because I think having the Holy War get extra attention and be put into the national spotlight and just the things that make college sports fun, right? It's the hated rivals. It's everybody, Utah against the world sort of stuff that creates storylines. It creates drama. It creates a matchup that we're all going to be looking way more forward to seeing this year than we would have otherwise because we've got some added juice to this. So it's going to be awesome to see that game take place in Provo this year. So would not change it. Mark Harlan, I very much appreciate that you did that for all of us, especially, I mean, look, I'm a content creator here. Like, of course, I feel like I'm contractually obligated to thank Mark Harlan for that and giving us that content and everything that happened. But yeah, it's pretty vindicating to be like, yeah, that was obviously the right call. Like it was obviously the right call. Said it at the time. Once you started seeing those other angles, it became overwhelmingly obvious. And now here we have it. I guess I understand why these are not all made public, right? To not just throw the wolves at officials even more. If you're going to say, oh, well, the conference actually agreed that was a crappy call that the guy made or whatever. You've already got like Kentucky fans going after John Higgins' roofing business for calls that he made in a basketball game. You don't want to encourage or stoke the flames on any more of that. Understood. But in situations like this, it's like, I don't know, could you leak that to a reporter or something sooner? Like, hey, like actually this controversial call that this one fan base is just going nuts about, like our refs got it right, man. Let's stand by our officials. Let's stand by Kevin. Be like, hey, that was not bad. That was not bad. That was one thought I had with that. Like, I feel like officials sometimes would want these to come out. Like, hey, if it's positive, can we just leak it to a reporter? You know, just anonymous source it to a reporter, get the screenshot out there of what the review is, and we'll be good. We'll be good. Okay, I think I will hold off until the next live show on the stuff about the next 2 seasons, the ESPN top 25 of the next 2 seasons. 4 Big 12 teams in the top 25, but one head and shoulders above the rest that they are very, very high on. I'll leave that as a tease for you for next time.